What's up, everybody? How are you? It's your boy Bill Foster, Real Talk Chronicles, and we're
Left
with
here.
Rich Williams tonight. Uh, Rich, mute yourself while we mute it when I get a chance. So, everybody, I hope everybody's having a good day. It's Wednesday, dealing with content and stuff like that. Just trying to make things happen in the world. Um, just want to wish everybody a safe and upcoming Halloween, which will be Monday. We got elections to talk about. We got a whole lot of stuff that's going on in the world. I want to get the sponsors out the way. Soft Illusions Art Gallery, Daily Arts of Survival Magazine, Art Gallery. Oh, whoa, okay. We on YouTube. Uh, Ingram Taxes, Reggie Wells Quality Speakers, Leon Ellis, Chocolat, Harlem Underground, and Melba Wilson. So I got all that out the way, saying all that. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. There's so much to talk about and so many things to talk about. With that, I'm going to talk about we got crime that's still popping off in the city. We got Kanye, yay, he's doing his thing. So I don't know what to tell a lot of you. Well, we want to talk about that. We have so many different people. We have elections that's coming up. Are you voting? Key states. Another woman has just come out and talked about what's Herschel Walker, that he had to pay for abortion. So I don't know what to tell you all. We have Fetterman and we have Oz. I don't know how you feel about that. Stefan, what's going on? Yeah, Rich is back. If you vote, if I vote, it won't be Democrat. I got you. Maybe we'll discuss that and we'll talk about that. I'm gonna bring Rich in now. Rich, what's going on, brother, man?
You know me. I woke up with the two C's. Chance of the choice.
Absolutely, brother. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in, whether you're watching from Facebook or YouTube. Right now, with so much going on, you always can catch us on YouTube. I don't know what Facebook is doing. It's working on Facebook now. Thank you. I appreciate that. You close that door too. Um, that way, I won't disturb you guys. So you see us on Facebook too. Um, Rich,
Nope.
Kanye. Let's go into. I'm gonna start off this. Okay, no, Stefania brought up the topic about voting. All right, right now we got the governor Hochul. You have other people talking about other things. So the Democrats have probably lost what they used to have the power because now everything is about public safety and the right for pro-choice. What do you think? How you think voting is going to go? Is it going to go back to the Republicans or is it going to stay with the Democrats? What's your thought process?
You're asking me. It's hard to say, man. Because you have people that are Democrats that feel a certain way about abortion. That's not the regular. People under the impression that all Democrats believe in pro-choice fully, and then same thing with Republicans on the reverse side. Um, there are things that pertains to pro-choice that, as a Democrat, I got issues with. You know, and it's not about a woman's choice to choose that she can abort the baby if she's been raped or incest or health situations. My issue with pro-choice is when it pertains to using that as a form of birth control,
Okay, all right.
right? So that's where my problem with the pro-choice thing comes. And not only that, when a woman is having a child, she's carrying that baby in her body, which is true, and she's afforded all the risks medically, you know. And don't make no mistake, I'm not trying to speak as a woman. I'm trying to speak as a father. That if me and you go into a relationship and we're having intimacy with the possibility of a child being produced out of that, both parties as adults got to be mindful about this act that you're about to go into between you and that other person, that at the end of the day, it's a possibility that a child might uh, be conceived out of this, which is a life, a potential life. And how do you navigate those decisions about, say, the father is excited about having it, and then the mother's like, I'm not ready for this. I don't even want it. You know? So the father's feeling one way, the mother's feeling another way, but she has a choice to say, well, regardless of what you say, I'm getting rid of our kid. Not just mine, ours. So she's making the choice for me too. You feel me? She's making my choice.
I got you.
So she has a lot of power when it comes to that, when you speak pro-choice.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and Stefania says it's going to be a red sweep all across the board, and then she also says I agree with you, Rich, because best believe these chicks are having 4 and 5 abortions. Like, come on already, stop it. So my thing is, you know, I'm not asking you your personal business and your past and stuff like that, or am I going to divulge, you know, mine? I mean, I have no problems doing that because it's real talk. But what I'm trying to say is that a Richard now is totally different Richard at 20, right? Just like the same thing with a Bill. Life changes as we get older. If I would, what I've known now, if I wouldn't have had any biological children, would I made those decisions back then? I still can't say I didn't. I would have said names would have changed my life. I don't know if I would have ended up with a doctor or a lawyer or nurses or the next president, female or male. I don't know those decisions. I just knew I didn't think I was personally ready. I understand what you're saying at the time when somebody has their own choice, because it was the choice of the female at the time.
But Bill, but listen, my point to that is not so much that you had a choice. You might not even have known. That's how that could work.
I understand
that woman can be pregnant, don't even tell you, so you're not even in the conversation.
No, but I get that. But see, I can only talk about the actual. I can't talk about the what if. See, the what if is there was a time when somebody told me that they were pregnant, but they was lying. You understand what I'm saying? Hoping to get pregnant by me. So I see how this game is played all the way around the board. And the bottom line is, I understand what Stefania is saying too about there's women out here that are using this as birth controls and destroying their body. I'm not judge and jury. Only God can be their judge and jury on that. And are they taking too many risks? Absolutely, Stefania. I'm not disputing that. But what I am saying is the fact that how do you decide between the rational adult who is supposed to be in a sound mind, what they call deem, that she can't make this decision? You know what I'm trying to say? So like, I get it. You know, it's something that a person has to, like, you know, like when you go to sign up for abortion, I mean, can we change rules or something? Can you sign, if you're going to sign up for abortion, you want an abortion, you got to say, because now we're dealing with time restraints too. I don't know a woman's body, but I'm sure the longer is the more problematic for a woman to abort.
Hey, but let me ask you this though, Bill.
Sure.
You know how So I'm 62. Back when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
like if a girl got sent down south, for us we knew that meant she was pregnant, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. If you was down south and you got sent up north, that's because you got pregnant, right? But the family
Mm-hmm.
support system was in place that if you had that kid, the family would help raise that kid, right? But the whole uh, um, Planned Parenthood, that whole program, that started by a white woman that was trying to really stop the procreation of black people, people of color. Initially, what it evolved into today is different, but the initial thought pattern in that whole thing was to stop black folks from having children,
Got you.
and
So
it
let me
didn't
ask you.
work.
So let me ask you a question. Staying on that topic, but going into this whole voting thing. What would be your deciding things in elections? Stefania says the deciding factor is crime for me. Every single day, someone is getting shot or stabbed or pushed onto the subway track, and we're going to definitely talk about that. Where are the police? Why are people getting arrested at 9 a.m. and out at 5 p.m.? You know what I'm saying? So I understand. So right now, she's saying she's not voting Democrat because she feels I'm not speaking for you, but correct me if I'm wrong. Um, you're feeling that they're definitely too lax because I hate calling people a liberal or conservative. I think it has the views, but Mark was saying it's Margaret Sanger. That's who you're talking about, Rich. That I think that's the lady's name.
Yeah.
So what would be your factors in voting? Is it Planned Parenthood? Is it public safety? Or I mean, are you staying just with your political party? Um, like for me, public safety is very important. Uh, right now, Planned Parenthood, pro-choice or not, it's not going to affect me, but it can affect my godchildren. It can affect people that are not here, nieces and nephews and things of that magnitude. So I have to think outside of the personal box. Now, public safety is definitely important to me. Absolutely. I never want to have to be Charles Bronson and take shit in my own hands. But Rich, you and I are from the old school to a certain degree. If you mess with mine, I got you myself. I ain't got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Stefania's saying things are way too lax. I get it, Stefania. I understand that. So like what's your thought process? Because right now, like Fetterman, Oz, like almost
Well,
like okay,
my
go ahead.
thought process is this. My thought process is this. It's how do we dial things back to the way things used to be? Because there wasn't any curfew except for your parents dealt out a curfew for your ass to be in the house.
Mm-hmm.
There was a certain amount of respect that was given to the parents.
Absolutely.
They took away corporal punishment, where you can't discipline your child. They did a lot of things that, for the most part, brought things to where it is now. That how the kids talk to not just their own parents, to everybody's parent. I mean, we grew up in a community where your mother was my mother. If we was
Absolutely.
doing something
Absolutely.
wrong, we would stop until they walked away.
Yeah.
We would
And
never get caught standing in a crowded elevator or in a restaurant or in a bodega spitting out rap lyrics with all kinds of profanity with headphones on like nobody was in there but you.
you would never curse in front of a parent adult.
No.
You would never
And
curse.
I
You
grew
would
up
never
where
curse.
in a school at the time in school where in public school where the teachers were allowed to hit you.
Absolutely. I
And
totally
you would
agree with you
take
on that.
that because you wouldn't want your parent to know that the teacher had to hit you because you would
Yeah.
get it 2 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
But today, we living in a society that if you even yell at your child, you're going to get brought up on charges.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question because I'm a firm believer in this, and I'm all for this. How would you feel about bringing back corporal punishment?
Well, right now, you don't let the cows out of the barn on that one. You can't put that genie back in the bottle. You know.
Well, I think that there's rumors of stop, question, and frisk trying to come back. Is that another genie you can't put back in the bottle?
Well, you can put that one back in the bottle because that's the law, you know, and the law is going to be the law. If you say that you can stop somebody and question and frisk them, because that law, I mean, everybody talked about it, stop and frisk, but it's not stop and frisk, it's stop, question, and frisk.
Absolutely.
But the way it was being practiced by not all police officers, but a lot of them was just straight up disrespectful. It was like a green light to act a fool on anybody that you would perceive to be a perpetrator. And really, the people that took advantage of that were those racist cops, which made the other cops look bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so like just for everybody.
So if that's practiced the way it's supposed to be practiced, I think it'll work.
Oh no, it will work. And like I said, for
because
clarity
I know
purposes,
me and you could be standing on the corner talking, and some dude walks past us with a ski mask on, pants sagging, weight in his pocket, hand in his pocket like he got something, and walk in between me and you instead of walking around us.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally today walk into a bank with a hat, hoodie, ski mask on.
So let me just say this, and I totally agree with you. The rules were, it was a quotas thing. So stop, question, and frisk was a quotas thing, and it was used, like everybody knows, improperly, and it led to just abuse of brown people and black people. We understand that. It was an excellent tool if used properly. I'm saying no. I totally get it. I'm not disputing that. I'm totally agreeing with you. But to the point we've talked about, Stefania said currently there is no law and order. There's a free pass to commit crime, and we can see it in real time. How's that playing out? Absolutely. Stefania also says, Rich, unfortunately, those days are long gone and will not return. These new age parents are a joke. They enable and partake in the foolishness. The good old days are just that, the good old days. And I agree with her on that. It's a shame that it is that way. So we are all like, listen, I'm seeing public service announcements from street dudes that did 20 years, long time, was out here in the game, hard body, from all boroughs. And they're still calling for peace amongst the young. But it's too late. Some rappers that I saw a post today. Rappers and got your children doing drugs, doing all kind of things, cursing and all kind of profanity and tirading and jerking. But you upset about Kanye. Kanye is your be all and all. And this is my point. I'm trying to find out, how do we bring it back to some kind of decency and law and order? Because the bottom line is, this is purging. We got the youth out here killing every day. Rich, you and I, Harlem Nights, you know what I'm saying? We hear it. We get the stats, the data. People getting shot left and right in Harlem, in Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens. Man, pushing a man on a train. And if you see the video, he just waiting, and then it was like a game. They're out here doing this what's the punch game, punching people in the face again. This shit is back. It seemed like everything bad is still coming back. Nothing good is coming back. Everything bad is coming back. What do you do if you're the mayor? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, the mayor sits down with Rich Williams and Bill Foster, and he says, Rich, you go first. if you got the blueprint, you know what I'm saying? If we at the table with him, what are you telling him? What are we going to say?
Well, what I would say to him, first thing first, I would tell him some of the stuff that used to take place that was a deterrent against a lot of stuff should come back. Like one, I always was an advocate for the housing police to go back to policing the housing projects by having that precinct in the project, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the precinct back in the project because all the projects had their own precincts.
Yeah, I know. The only
And
precinct that I know still does that down in Manhattan is PSA 4. That's in
and
LES.
the other thing is not only have the cops stationed there regular. Don't have them shipping them out to Times Square because they having the ball drop and, you know, sending them to locations like Giuliani did. He focused all his energy on Times Square, you know. So he took all of those situations and consolidated all the budgets from the transit to the housing to to all of that and put it in one budget and focused on cleaning up Times Square. He said, fuck Harlem, fuck the projects, fuck Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens. We going downtown so we can get this money. So they cleaned up Times Square and left the community to fend for itself, you know, and literally placed the blame of crime on those law-abiding citizens that had nothing to do with it by not protecting them, you know, through police department. And what I would do first is I would say to the actually next month they're having the 32nd precinct is having their monthly meeting, and the PC is going to be there at the Schomburg.
Okay.
And these are places where people really should go to have these conversations, like what we're having, and put that in her ear, you know. But it's really about the money, the budget, how do they pay for it? And then at the end of the day, really, mathematically, there's money in chaos.
Absolutely. Because with chaos, people going to always want policing, fire, ambulances. I mean, you know, FD. There's always going to be jobs.
Like Bill, when you arrested that guy, that one dude, and you had to take him down, right? How many different people did he have to touch that get paid for what just happened?
Yeah.
That in a matter of hours, so many people get a paycheck based on what that dude just did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you put money
and overtime
in a machine.
Overtime
it's a machine. Just like upstate, when all of these counties that's poor white trash people up there that ain't got no source of income, you put a prison in their town, and everybody in the town is a corrections officer.
Yeah.
And don't look like none of the inmates.
Yep.
All them prisons upstate is filled with the 5 boroughs from down here.
Yeah.
From low income communities sitting up in prison. In a prison, and try to close one of them prisons down. That whole town of protest.
That's where all the money
is. Because you're messing with what? You're messing with their income.
Yeah.
You know, they just had a thing on the news today, how they had one of those organizations, nonprofit organizations, and I don't want to get the name wrong but they're like the violence disruptors and the credible messages, formerly incarcerated brothers that go into the prison and try to work with the people, the population in there to deter crime and other things. They just threw them out because they investigated that these guys were bringing in cell phones, drugs, weapons, and they tossed them out. But not just that, you know, you got corrections officers that have participated in that too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Rich Williams. I'm Bill Forster. And we're having discussions we're going to talk about Ye. We're talking about politics. We're talking about crime. What would you do if you were the mayor or the governor or the president, whomever, that could make some choices? Are you voting Republican or Democrat? Are you staying with your party, or what are going to be your choices to make you choose your candidate? Hey, Brenda's in the building. Shout out Eddie Vieira. I'm gonna read your comments. If you want to join this conversation, I would love to know what women feel about pro-choice or not. Would that sway your vote? I know public safety is a big component to me. Pro-choice, I mean, for the abortion, Roe versus Wade, I'm a big component. I want women to still have their right to make choices. Stefania made a great point. This new generation out here is having abortions like popping Skittles in their mouth, which they need to stop that shit. And they're abusing their bodies. Like you said, Rich talked about Planned Parenthood earlier. We got to talk about how to give more contraceptives, protection for our youth, and stop. There was a point where in school you had to make people go to church. So I love to know anybody's thoughts. Like I said, anybody's always welcome to join this podcast. You can text me, find a way to get to me. I'll send you the link. I want you to come in and share your thoughts. What's up? Reggie Bullock is in the building. Gotham City is a real Batman. Absolutely. It needs a real Batman. You're right about that. Eddie Vieira said on your topic, there's a saying, hard times create strong men. Absolutely. We know that strong men will create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. The youth are unfortunately currently weak men. Absolutely, Eddie. I totally agree with you on that. That is a very important post that you read, because it is true. It is true. Anybody that's father, most of that, it was a blue collar man or worked or came from a certain era, the 60s or stuff like that, made us all iron sharpen iron. But as everybody has grown up, people, we talk this better life for our children and our families. And then you got kids in the suburbs, and no disrespect to that, because I get it. Who am I to say that's not your choice? You got an option. But then when your kid is soft and he's coddled and he's spitting at you and all kind of crazy shit, where's he getting it from? You know what I'm trying to say? Mark said, Bill, I absolutely agree. We need more law enforcement, but the way things are now, to get a hold on things, a police state may have to be employed. The city is off the chain regarding the subway. Absolutely. Mark, unfortunately, this is what Mark is saying. Unfortunately, Republicans are offering law aid order. I agree. Democrats can be soft, but let's truly think what Trump and his party will do once they're back in office. Everybody, I'm really stuck. I'm really trying to do my homework, my due diligence on the candidates out here today, and I implore you to do that. Reggie said, after the storming of the Capitol, I don't trust shit from the magazine peeps. Absolutely. Stefania said, but those in power of all influence don't want things to change for the better for us. I agree. And when we talk about us, we're talking about people of color. What do y'all think about this? I mean, I want to stay on this topic too, but what do y'all think about this right now? The Jewish community is canceling Kanye left and right. Not that he doesn't deserve it. It's not my choice. What happened to the freedom of speech, right? But also too, now are they trying to pit the African American community or brown community versus the Jewish community? Because now people are like, oh, we need to stop this Jewish bashing. We need to learn about the Jewish culture. I don't see nobody talking about learning about the black people culture. They don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? They talking about the
Hey,
critical
Bill,
race
tell
theory.
people what Kanye did, because I don't even know what he did this time.
Well, he basically just came out and said everything that he wasn't supposed to say about the Jews. Whether it's true or not, he said it out loud. You understand what I'm
Oh,
trying to say?
he went Farrakhan on him.
When hard body, he said the Jews, I can't quote everything because I don't know everything to be quoted, but the bottom line is whether you agree or disagree, he came out and he said very disparaging, derogatory comments about the Jews, the Jewish community. I shouldn't call them Jews because that's like somebody calling us blacks. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so the Jewish community, and like I said, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, it is we're a cancel culture right now. But the thing is, I think the things that he did say from a not from a financial standpoint, I think what he said from uh, a Holocaust situation and the things of that magnitude, I think he might have pushed the button too far. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't even touch that button. So my thing is, since you didn't hear what he said, I'm going to ask you a question, Rich. Do you think people are jumping on the Jewish bandwagon now, and all of a sudden they want to? I heard on the news they were talking about, oh, they want to start. People are doing things on TikTok now, and they want to teach people about the Jewish community and the culture and the Holocaust. Do you feel kind of slighted that they don't do that? They don't want to do that for the African American and the Latin community, or the culture, I should say. Go ahead. You muted.
The thing about that is you got Jewish people, Asian people, all of these different cultures really supporting their own culture. You know, they're pro Jewish, they're pro Asian, they're pro whatever they are. That's what they are, and they're united in that cause. You know, and we kind of like we do whatever. You know, you can go into a Chinese restaurant in your community, and nobody in there that works there looks like you.
Facts.
Only
Facts.
one person might speak the language of English, and they'll treat you any kind of way they want, but you keep giving them your money,
Yeah.
right? You go. I don't know. I might have told you the story. I had a Greek friend of mine that he used to sell cars. You know, he used to go to auctions. I used to go with him sometimes, buy cars. And we would always crack these little jokes to each other, you know, about, you know, how sometimes you go into that racial joke, just, you know, taking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a statement about how I was going down south. And he cracked a joke about, yeah, you better be careful. They might try to lynch your black ass down there.
Right.
And I said to him, because he wasn't white, he was Greek, and he had dark skin, curly hair, you know, the olive skin. I said, motherfucker, if you go down there, they ain't gonna treat you like a white man, so they lynch your ass too.
Absolutely.
And he said, no, they won't. I said, yes, they will. He said, no, they won't. I said, why wouldn't they? He said, because we different than black people. If you lynch one of us, we coming for you. He said, I don't understand how when something happens to y'all, one of y'all get up there and say, stay calm, you know, turn the other cheek. Don't do nothing about it, you know, pray on it, you know, keep hope alive. He said, ain't nobody gonna take their foot out your neck because you asked them to.
Absolutely.
It's an old gangster phrase. Never ask for nothing you're not willing to take. So if a bully comes up to you and robs you, takes your bike, or does whatever he wants and takes it, and he's got it, you gonna walk up there and say, yo, come on, man, could I get my bike back?
Yeah,
Man, get the fuck out of here. But if you're willing to go up there and
whip
die
some
for
ass.
what's right and whip some ass, you got a chance of getting your shit back. And maybe the nigga never take it.
Yeah.
But if you continuously asking for favor from your oppressor, whatever he's willing or she's willing to give you, because we need a whole loaf, but we fighting each other over a slice or a crumb.
Yeah, facts.
You know? And when one of us get a slice, they don't want to share it.
Listen, let me tell you something. I tell anybody, I went to one march, Million Man March. Haven't been to another. That was a peaceful rally. All this marching out here, I can't do it. I'm not, because if you hurt mine, it's personal, and I want to touch you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling for violence and anything like that, but you know, like I was talking to Pastor Graves about this at one point. You know, all the people that, you know, the community people are doing things for and stuff like that. Those are the people that is not the problems. I told him one time, I was like, yeah, the pastors and stuff like that, y'all not out here on these street corners talking to these youth because you know these youth are punching in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about what you're saying. They don't give a damn. And how sick and crazy is that? That you have you go ahead.
But Bill, remember this. Back in the civil rights era when everybody was marching and protesting, who organized those marches and protests? The clergy. It was the church,
Yeah.
right? The church organized every protest and march for civil rights, human rights, call it what you want to call it. Even the mosque, Malcolm X, all of these different religious organizations were the ones that spearheaded all of this equal justice, equal rights stuff, right?
Yes.
What happened with the church community that it fell back when all of these injustices started occurring? You had some young college students that said enough of this shit, because they didn't really grow up in that era where you had to look on the ground if a white man was talking to you.
Right.
Or you couldn't go there if you was black, and you got to go in the back door and all that shit. They didn't grow up in that era. They read about it, but they never physically experienced that shit. And they wasn't about to. They like, I'm not doing that. You know, I don't know how y'all went for that. So when these different things start popping off and social media started showing it worldwide what was going on, the young people, which was the same young people back in the civil rights days, as much as you might talk about Martin Luther King and all of these other guys, it was really young college students that marched those marches.
Mm-hmm.
And they were organized by the student government and the clergy. So when these different protesters popped off, I remember, you know, a lot of the NYPD and organizations was telling, you know, the clergy, like, yo, calling them up saying, yo, man, could y'all get out here and try to curb some of this violence? They couldn't do it because they didn't know none of those people that had that whole thing organized. Why?
Right.
Because they didn't play no part in organizing a peaceful or structural or organized protest. You know, Martin Luther King said, we're not going to give you our money on this bus. That's how we're going to protest this. We just not going to ride your bus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now just imagine if that kind of power was developed again, where you can go and now get the respect from the people that you give your money to. You will have control over things.
How beautiful would that be, right?
But it's possible. But there are things in place to this day that get us to work against each other. Because you have some of us that have reached that point where they feel like they just like that 1%. And to them, it ain't a color until they get in a room full of the 1%.
Right.
Then they'll show you it's a color. But as long as I can get you to help me make this money off of your people,
right,
and you down with it, like the rap game,
yep,
like sports, NBA, NFL, all these, we spend so much time arguing about whether LeBron is better than Jordan. Both of them are great. We should be talking about all of the different black folks that run these professional leagues that are playing. Where are they owners at? How come we're not majority owners? We're majority players. We should be majority in all aspects of that sport, whether it's a sports agent, right? Sports doctor, lawyers. We should be in the front office of every professional league in this country. We should have our own stadiums and own them. But that's not even a conversation. We're busy arguing whether LeBron was better than Jordan, not whether we should have our own team. So our prize, our eyes on the prize. Our eyes is on a fucking donkey 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah. We still arguing over that, right? Yeah. You're right. You know what's so funny? I always tell people, I was having this conversation with a Latin brother. I think it was a Latin brother, and I was saying how if we got together and organized, strategized, we'd be the most powerful culture in this world. You know what I'm saying? But everybody, like you were saying, everybody's still trying to outdo the other one. Everybody's trying to get the better house than my friend, the better car than my friend. Oh, if somebody got something new, I gotta outdo that. It's not a competition amongst ourselves. I also have my man coming in, my man Reggie Bullock, phenomenal journalist himself. He's coming in to join the people. I'm gonna bring you in, Reg. I just want you to read. I want you to listen to some of these comments that have come across my board. Everybody, we're on Real Talk Chronicles. This is YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, I don't know if thanks, sweetheart. I was just going to tell them if they wanted to comment on YouTube. Yes, because I know, but I was just trying to tell them that. Thanks. Yes. So that was your girl Tony in the back, Rich.
Yeah, I see. I see it. Put my foot down.
So I'm going to bring my man Reggie in, but I'm going to read some comments as I read the comments. Hold on. So first and foremost, we talked about the youth. Stefania said, truth be told, Kanye didn't say anything anti-Semitic, but he went in on black people and no one's upset. Exactly. She said, make it make sense. Mark said, it just shows who really has power. Not really a Ye fan, but to shut him down completely, nah. Stefania said, and the truth is, everyone knows that you can talk crap about black people and face little to no consequences. That was my whole big point about that too, Stefania and Mark. Let's see. Stefania said, think, hell no. Depending on who you are, you can even kill us with little no consequences. Colin I think he was talking to you, Rich, when he said about your friend said, don't go someplace. He said he was telling the truth. He said, Mark said, and there's nothing, and they're not eating the food they sell to us either. They sure not. I ain't never seen a Chinese restaurant. I'm talking about the regular ones on the block. I never seen any of them sitting down eating Chinese food, the shit they made. Or if they did, it's just rice. I don't see them eating that chicken and French fries shit, even though I still love it though. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta find a clean one. You might have to get some little chicken wings and French fries, old school. Remember, that's when you only had $3.50 and it was time to go home after the Mark said also, and you talked about Trayvon Martin also too. Mark also said, Bill, our generation is being replaced by Lil Nas X and Juicy. This is disappointing and disgusting. What's going on today? And then I think he was also talking about Stokely Carmichael. Yep. Mark also says, also, if you have a voice that speaks to the souls of our people, they don't want you around. Absolutely. If we stop playing football and basketball, we would destroy the economy. Preach be word. So let me just say this. The police, my former co-workers, or just that part, when Aaron Judge was getting close to getting that record, because he wore a Black Lives Matter shirt, was hoping that he never got to 62 home runs. I did not understand how people feel like, yo, if you're in sports, just play sports. I don't want to hear your politics. Yo, people have a right to speak, B, and I don't get it. But everybody, with that saying all that, I got to bring my man Reggie Bullock to the stage. Reggie, we covered a lot of topics, man. Pick one that you heard that you want to jump in on, and we can go back and forth with it, brother.
Can you hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Got you, brother.
Okay, good. Let me just say this. I want to go in on the Ye thing for a second, but before I go into that, I got to say thank you, Bill, for allowing me to be here. Number one. Number two, I love your show. Keep doing what you're doing. You're keeping all the relevant topics, on the brains where we need to have it right now. And number 3, Rich Williams, he brought up some good points. He did really bring up some good points. And
he was dropping some jewels.
He did. And a lot of the people that are chiming in, they're bringing up good points as well. I think the thing we have to be careful of right now, we got to be really careful of dog whistles. And what I mean by dog whistles is these phrases, these sounds, these sayings that each party or individuals will use to get us hyped up. And so I know people that literally, good friends of mine that can listen to Candace Owens, they'll hear 3 things she say, but we need to do this. I said, but did you hear all the other shit she said? So like in Ye's situation, right? Of course, we want to go Farrakhan. We want to go, the Jews doing this, Jews doing that. But before we get there, I'm like, wait a minute. That man said that my people had a choice of slavery. That's what he said. I ain't talking about cancel culture. I don't feel that.
Yeah, right.
Some of the other stuff he was saying, the loving of Trump and kissing Trump's ass up in the White House, all this other stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, come on. Forget about what he said about the Jews. Forget about Adidas. Forget about we shouldn't cancel. We got to back Kanye. I get all of that. I'm just talking about what he said about us. And what he said about us, it's hard for me to forgive that. It's hard for me to let that go. It's hard for me to watch you on stage with Candace Owens walking around with a White Lives Matter shirt. And then turn it into, boy, it's a scam. I'm sitting there and saying, wait a minute, the boy that you love the most, President of the United States, is pulling the biggest scam in the history of time. And I'm not trying to get political. I'm talking about what Letitia James is saying.
Let's call it facts and facts. Hold on, let me just say this, Reg. The first thing, how asinine for him to say that slavery was a choice. That was now, if he's trying to say, why didn't we galvanize and fight? Come on, man. Like, listen, dude.
Could you put that statement in context?
What do you mean?
What did he say? Not just that part. What was the whole thing that he said that said that?
Well, I can't go that. I don't have for.
You know why I'm asking that question? Because a lot of people bite on a soundbite and don't listen to nothing else that was said, right? And I'm gonna give you a for instance, and I'm not defending Kanye. I don't know what he said, but I'm gonna give you a for instance. When they talk about Allen Iverson talking about how he went to an interview, talking about, come on, man, practice, really? And that's all they talked about.
But I saw that interview though. Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that wasn't even in context of what he was talking about. So when you say Kanye said that, I need to really understand the context and how that whole thing. I want to hear the whole thing, not just. Well, hold on. Not just that soundbite.
Let me just say this. First and foremost, you two got a mutual brother in arms, Michael Sledge. Reggie, Rich grew up with Michael, and yes, and Rich.
Man, me and that guy met. Me and Reggie met.
Oh, okay.
We met at the screening. I had the screening of his movie at the Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
Well, that's right.
I took them to the Boys and Girls Club. Yes. They have their own movie theater there.
Yes.
And we had a group of kids that came and viewed the movie. It had a lot of positive feedback. We had the Q&A afterwards. Yeah. They talked to Reggie. They talked to Mike and his wife. They shared some personal stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, but I just wanted to make that connection because.
I'm familiar with the brother's body of work.
Oh yeah. So definitely, and
you,
I want him to talk about.
He's sitting there looking like Red Alert, though.
He in the cut. And before Reggie goes tonight. He's working on some new stuff, and it's phenomenal work. But I just wanted to say this. I get what you're saying, Rich, about the content. So maybe you have to go back and listen to that because they had taken the interview down off of Drink Champs, and then I think they put it back up. Really, I'm not trying to promote anybody else. I'm just trying to get people to promote this right now, and anybody that supports me. So, but if you want to go listen to the interview, then you can listen to the interview. But the thing is, I don't think, for what I recall, that the content was anything other than ridiculous.
Yep.
You see what I'm trying to say, Rich? Like when Allen Iverson was talking about practice.
But when we first talked about it, I asked you what was said, and you really wasn't clear about what he said.
No, I wasn't clear about what I'm saying because I can't give it verbatim. When I said clarity, I can't give you verbatim. But what I can say is though, whatever context I recall that he said, it still didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You understand?
Well,
what I'm
let me say this. Let me
Go
say
ahead,
this real
Rich.
quick.
Yeah.
And Rich, you bring up a great point, because the Allen Iverson point is classic. When he said, talking about practice, people did not know that he's coming out. They told him not to go into that interview. Also, he had just lost a friend in his life, so he didn't even think about anything. He's thinking about somebody that was close to him that got murdered. So you're absolutely right. You got to check out stuff, especially if something's taken out of context. But I think what Bill is saying, what I heard, is that Kanye or Ye, he has this tendency to give out sound bites without no context. It's stuff that doesn't make no sense. So he did say out of nowhere, he said, no, slavery was a choice. He didn't say anything before that, anything after that. And then he went into the whole thing. He was dissing Harriet Tubman, just all this stuff. And then the other thing that I can't take out of context, when you put on the White Lives Matter shirt, that bothered me. And then when you say it's a scam, and then when you roll in with Candace Owens,
and then quoted her like she was facts. He quoted Candace Owens like she was facts.
Yes. And so I'm saying, and then when you say that George Floyd died because of fentanyl, not because of the knee on the neck, when you say all that stuff, but I'm gonna tell you the hidden thing that bothers me more than anything. It's not so much, it reminds me of the when Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner, two Jews and a black, came down from New York and got killed trying to help the voting rights in Mississippi in the 60s. Yep. And one of the things that the Panthers and SNCC said, they said, we love the Jews for coming down here, not the Jews, but the two Jewish kids that came down to help us and died for us. But if those two Jews didn't die, nobody would have cared. In other words, it was three black men. And that, I think, is the hidden thing in all of this. I'm saying, wait a minute. Why didn't Adidas and all those other companies say, wait a minute, you just dissed Harriet Tubman. You just dissed your answer. You just dissed black people. We're going to cancel you now. No, they only cancel them when they were talking about it. And that was something I struggled with. Not that I agreed with anything Kanye said, but I struggled with that fact that you saw this man, you saw him and Candace Owens dissing George Floyd. Why would you do that? He didn't die because why would you do that? And nobody canceled him then, but the moment he talked about the Jews, then that's where the cancellation came. And that's the only problem I have with all of this stuff.
Well, that's a great point, because the bottom line is, Rich, you want to
Rich? No, you absolutely right with that statement you just made, you know. Mm-hmm. But the problem with that is that that's the way this whole thing is set up, you know. I'm gonna use this analogy for you. You know how Republicans, like with Donald Trump, or any Republican, do some fucked up shit. They will hold his ass down no matter what.
Yes.
And deal with him internally. Right?
Yeah.
But the Democrats, you do something, they throw you in the street, run the car over you, back you up, drag you out there, yeah, he did it. Him. And these Republicans manage to stay in power and get what they want because they have that unity amongst themselves. Now, I am not saying what Kanye said was a good thing. Right. I think we need to take his ass in the back room, touch his ass up, and let him come back out with a new statement. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, this brother never was right. You know, my lady said he ain't been right since his mother passed, but he wasn't right before she passed.
Yes.
You know, and then that just tipped him over the scale.
Yeah.
And then he wound up running around with the other chick.
Yeah.
Having all them kids by her. You know, and he's dealing with that control loss situation.
Yeah.
But this dude was also at a point where he was about to go bankrupt before he became this billionaire. Yeah. You know, and I remember he used to be on TV crying for help. You know, somebody got to help me. You know, but you have people that have bought into using their own people.
Yeah.
To climb the ladder on so they can stand next to them other people.
You know,
and they'll say in a heartbeat that, they'll find him and stick a mic in his face so he can say dumb shit like what Kanye said.
Yeah.
They knew what he was going to say before they stuck that mic in his mouth.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's the old cliche. What happens with the news? The news always interviews the person on the corner with no teeth and speaking bad English. They're not catching the articulate person coming home from work in a suit and a tie. So they've always depicted us as asinine. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Richard Williams. That's Reggie Bullock. And we're chopping it up about Ye. We also want to talk about the voting thing. Reg, you're in a place where the voting is very prominent out there. You got Herschel. You got Walcott. You know, like what's going on out there, brother?
See, well,
what's respect for the motherfucker with a name like Herschel?
What's this
black motherfucker come from the South, and his pastor name him Herschel.
Hey, yo, that's hilarious.
He invoking all kind of revenge just on that shit.
Rich going in hard.
He's going in hard. He gonna pay back his ancestors.
You know, I never thought about it like that. But
y'all motherfuckers name me Herschel.
Candy bar.
That's some shit. That's some real talk shit.
What's crazy about the whole thing is that, and I, like I said, I consider myself an independent because when people get in, my son even said to me the other day, he said, Dad, but you know, the Democrat, I said, look, I'm not talking Democrat or Republican. I'm talking politicians who are slimy, and I'm talking crazy. Right. And when I say crazy, here's the thing. We worried about subway crime. We worried about all this stuff, but the big picture, nobody's looking at it. You know, we may be 5 seconds away from the world blowing up because we don't know what Putin is going to do. So Absolutely. Then when I say Putin, I literally say, see, that's Trump's boy. You see, when Putin invaded the Ukraine, and I'm not taking sides on who's right and who's wrong. When he invaded it, the first thing Trump said, oh, he's a genius.
He did.
Now, they told me something. And he said in front of the world, I don't know if you remember, he said in front of the world, I trust this guy over my own CIA, over my own secret. And that was a tip to me. When he said he loved my man from North Korea, I love him. I have a love affair. When he said that, I said, oh, wow, this dude's on some other shit. Yeah, he's on some superpower shit. We got to be careful. So while we worried about crime in New York, while we worried about Democrats are too soft, the LGBTQ, they doing this and doing that, you may not have nothing to worry about tomorrow. If Putin sets his shit off and Trump's backing off, yeah, let's do this. Let's have the three powers take over the world.
Some of that Russian vodka and push that button and shit. You didn't get mad and shit. watching something and get said, I'll give a F. You know what I'm saying?
See, you and Richard, you're turning into another place.
But let me ask y'all something, man.
Because I'm stuck on the Herschel thing. I can't get that out of my head, Rich.
Hey, but listen, let me ask y'all something. Because somebody had brought this to my attention about this whole Ukraine thing, right?
Right.
And they said to me that the Ukraine used to be a part of the Soviet Union, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. During World War I and World War II. The Ukraine was the way the Germans entered Russia. That's like the gateway into the Soviet Union. Every time they were attacked, right? And they got their ass whipped, came through the Ukraine. Now, remember back in 1960, was it 1 or 2, when the Soviet Union was trying to put missiles in Cuba because they became communists. The Cubans kicked the United States out, you know, and they became communists with Castro. And Cuba was getting subsidies from Russia. They were paying, you know, sending them money to take care of all the shit they needed. And they tried to come over there and bring nuclear power and weapons. Mm-hmm. And the United States said, hell fucking no. Cuba, you can't do that because Russia's our enemy. We were in the Cold War then. They said, Russia is our enemy. You are too close to the United States for Russia to come over there and you join forces with them with that bullshit. It got to a standoff. They called it the Missiles of October. Long story short, Russia bailed out and said, you know what? We ain't going to do nothing. We'll back off. Now, speed it up to today. The Ukraine, this whole beef was initiated by the Ukraine wanting to join NATO. NATO is the Soviet Union's enemy. All of those countries in NATO, France, Germany, you name them, all of those countries are the enemy of the Soviet Union. So they said, we don't want you to join NATO. Stay out of that, and we ain't got no problem with you. NATO was saying, nah, they should have the right to do what they want to do. We're going to stand with the Ukraine, which, by the way, none of them like black folks. When they were trying to get out of there, they wouldn't let the black folks leave. They said only our people could leave first.
It's true.
Number two, he brought this to my attention. He said, think about this. You know how Africans, well, so-called, I call them so-called Africans because Africa was named by a Russian general named Africanus. But anyway, Africans who speak all of these different languages from their colonists, from their oppressors, they come out, Africans come here, they speak German, French, Italian, Spanish, they speak all that shit because all of those countries that are NATO countries colonized Africa. Tell me one African that come out of that motherfucker speaking Russian. You know why? Because they never did that. So when they brought that to my attention, it kind of opened my eyes to the spin things are put on situations. Now, mind you, I'm not a proponent for no war where people killing masses of any people. But these are things we need to start thinking about. Forget about what the media is telling us and how they spinning certain things. You know, when they talk about public assistance and welfare, the fact is 85% of the people that are on public assistance are white. But every time they talk about it, who do they show? They show a black person, a Spanish person. So it gives a subliminal message to the poor white trash that we're the ones sucking up all the public assistance, which makes them want to vote for motherfuckers like Trump.
Right.
So we got to be conscious of the information that we get and try to understand who gave it to us. Because this country here, the people that are doing all of this shit to us, the beauty of what they do, they cause it and then they try to be the one to solve it. They want to control both narratives. They want to start the war, supply the guns for the war, and then be the one to clean up the mess. And that's the same motherfucker. But we looking at him as the hero because he came in and helped and cleaned shit up. But you don't talk about how he the motherfucker that started that shit.
Yeah. So I mean, what and with that,
now, that might be a little too deep for a lot of people, but no,
it's not that you got too deep. I think people maybe want to know: are you against Ukraine and Russia, or are you against Russia for invading Ukraine, or what's your thought then? Because I mean, you went deep into it, but now I just want to find out what's your bottom thought on that since you brought that up.
I got too much shit to worry about right here where I'm at. It's a lot of deep shit going on with the people in the community that I'm in right here. Those things on a bigger scale.
So all that
you saying, the question is, how does that affect us? How does that affect me? It's kind of like us fighting and celebrating the 4th of July. To me, that shit is a joke.
Right.
We fought to free white folks that had us slaves so they could be free of debt. They weren't even in bondage. These motherfuckers owed England money. Taxation without representation. So we gonna fight with them, and we still motherfucking slaves. And to this day, we still running around busting off fireworks and celebrating that shit.
Well, we have our own slave mentality, and we can't shake that. Let me just read some comments. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm here with Rich Williams and Reggie Bullock. A lot of people are saying, Colin said, I totally agree with you, Reggie's comments. Mark said, Reg, our people do have a history in Russia and stuff like that. Yo, Mark said we clowning tonight. No, we just chopping it up. You know, I just think with so much going on, because once we come in front of this, and Reggie knows this, Rich, you know this too now. Once I come in front of this as journalists now, you know, I try to give the best content. We all try to give the best content we can, and be insightful and give people a platform to talk about things that are annoying them. And you know, I preferenced earlier today by talking about politics, yay, and of course, well, the abortion thoughts, you know, especially for women. And maybe next time I come on Wednesday, maybe I try to get some females, some queens from any ethnicity, and they can come on and talk about it, because you know Kevin is a component for, you know, he's against pro-choice. He's like, yo, give everybody, you know, the babies. I just take this. Listen, I get it. I get it. The decisions we make today, but how hypocritical is one if Herschel, with the wonderful name, like Rich said, Herschel then had 2 abortions, and now he's sitting here talking about he's not pro-choice. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Like he'd be better off coming out, because certain people in that party, or certain people, period, are just so stupid. They don't care what he said. They'll say, "Oh, well,
don't care."
Yeah, they don't care, and that's where I'm going, Reg. They don't care, because the bottom line is they're gonna vote for him regardless, no matter what.
Yeah.
They're gonna give him a pass. They know that girl that he had that baby with was a crackhead. Yeah. He had to get rid of it.
But check this out.
I'm just joking, though.
The man put a gun in the South to a white woman's head, and they voting for. When did this start? You put a gun to a white woman's head and get away with this shit.
Listen, he did something OJ couldn't do. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm like, when does that happen? And so that's why I'm saying is the bigger picture. We got to look at the bigger picture. But I think Rich brought up something earlier in the conversation that was really, really deep. We got to figure out a way. I don't know when this is going to happen, where we can pool. You know, Farrakhan has said this. I don't agree with everything Farrakhan said, but he said this years ago. We got to figure out a way to pool our resources together. There's no way that 13 owners of a league, not 13, I'm sorry, 30 owners in a league, and you have Michael Jordan is the only other owner. And I think you have an Indian brother that owns Sacramento Kings, is the majority owner. There's no way. There's no way that, and I know this for a fact. I don't care. People can call me, they can argue, they could write in. 90% of all the money that's ever been made in hip hop has not gone to us in our community. Only 10%. So we create these incredible things, and we should get past hip hop and past basketball. And we should be the doctors, the lawyers, the scientists, all that other stuff. But the reality is 90% of all the money that's ever been generated in hip hop, that's going to other communities, not us. And Rich was speaking on that earlier. We have $1 trillion spending amongst all of us within America. $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Imagine if we pool this together, create our own leagues, create our own hip hop, create our own schools, create our own colleges. And this is the problem that I think we have, is that we've never, and Rich, you spoke to, we've never unified our money to be able to elevate us to another place.
And you know what's so funny? It's so true on what both of you are saying in regards. Because I remember when Puffy tried to buy a basketball team or something like that, it was like, no. And then the thing is, too, a lot of times people don't understand. Once you become a minority owner, they still ask you for a certain amount of money, you know, to do things. Like even like when Jay-Z, he had 1% of the Nets, but people was like 1%. But what's 1% of, say, $5 billion? You know what I'm saying? Like you gonna get mad at me for that? And then, like I said, I think he got like all the shows that come in Barkley has it come through him, Rock Nation or some kind of form of that. So
that was his logic behind that 1%. It wasn't so much the team as having access to that stadium.
Yep, exactly. So a lot of times, my problem when we talk about that is, and this is another topic we can shift. How come we not pulling each other up and we not uplifting each other? People taking shots at each other all the time. You know what I'm saying? Reggie and I, one, and I'll say this too, Richie, you know, and I give you props on this. Few people, I try to stay around the people that have no problem uplifting each other.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm trying to say? The bottom line is Reggie has something coming up. I've had Reggie on the show before. Reggie has chimed in and I've mentioned his thing and stuff like that. And Reggie said, no, don't mention it. This is about you tonight. See, that's the humility in what we do and how we do it. But, you know, Rich, you know, I brought you in, you know, you're a plethora of knowledge.
Yes.
You know, you got your ears to the street and you're my man. And our friendship has turned into a brotherhood because of what we do and how we do it. I say all that to say that you don't find a lot of like-minded people. Like you're gonna find the Reggie somewhere over there. You're gonna find a Rich somewhere over there. You're gonna find a Bill Forster over there. I was having a conversation with somebody one time recently, and I said, "Who's in so and so's ear?" You know, like the mayor. It don't have to be me. You don't want me in his ear. I get it. There's certain things that Bill Forster's never going to get. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to get my accolades when I'm gone. You know, maybe a person like Reggie's going to give me something, but you know, I always say that I got more people hating on me than they got applauding me. You know, they'll applaud me later on, but they ain't applauding right now. They gonna still gonna try to outdo me. You know?
More people come to see you lose than see you win.
Yeah. What's that noise? Somebody say
Not
that?
me. Rich, is that
Yeah, that's Rich. I don't know where the hell you was at. Would you know, late night barbershop? Only time we would go to the barbershop at this time of night was get the
cutting hair. Yeah, they cutting hair. Somebody get an edge up right now.
Yeah, you getting an edge up. You got you in the barbershop. So I say all that to say, we as people, I said it all the time. You know, we don't support, we don't recognize, we don't give love to each other. Somebody's always trying to outdo the other one. It is a sad.
I can hear it. Mute me for a second.
Yeah, Rich, you don't hear all that noise?
Nah, it's Rich. It's definitely Rich.
No, it's Rich. I'm gonna unmute you. Watch, you're gonna hear it. Watch. I don't know where you are.
He getting a haircut.
You in a construction site, you're burying people out there. What you doing, bro? Hold on, let me see.
Or in the black barbershop. Yeah, Rich.
Yeah, that's a lot of noise. Reggie, so give me a take on that, because the bottom line is, Rich mentioned it earlier. I think you harped on it a little bit. Mm-hmm. If we came together, I also said it and reiterated it. If we come together as people, voting, a lot of things would be handled. We wouldn't have to worry. I think Richard mentioned it about Martin Luther King and things like that moving together. If we stop spending our money on this or stop spending our money on that, we would have control. They know, and I hate to say it about our people, we're gonna get along, go along. We are the least I'm not gonna say organized. We're the least unified culture in this world. You know what I'm saying? You go any place else, other cultures will stick together and galvanize to do something for their community and their people. Not us. Like Rich said earlier, I think, you go, we're the only communities that don't have anybody in color owning something, but we patronizing. But when you go to those communities, you don't see none of us in there. If you go in the store to buy something, they're gonna look you up and down. What you doing in here? You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. We on some real kumbaya shit. We love everybody, and we want everybody to love us. But let's call it real. You know, keep real talk. Let's stop talking about, let's get out the past. How can we go forward if people don't know their history? You know,
right.
So this is real talk. That's Richard Williams, and that's Reggie Bullock. Stefani said all city employees are to be rehired and receive paybacks. Oh, really? So that did go through.
Oh yeah, that went through.
Oh, see, the New York Supreme Court ruling against the.
That means
Wow.
Kyrie Irving gonna get his money too.
Yeah.
Wow. So that means all those police officers that lost their job are gonna come back.
Yeah,
What's
get their money and get back pay.
Yeah. So what's your feeling on that, Rich and Reggie? I'll go with you, Rich, first.
Hey, listen, whatever they was saving by doing that shit, they got to give it up now. So now the city got to find that money to pay them.
Yeah.
You know, all that money they spent on them PPEs and that the like the governor, the other governor, Cuomo.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of hand sanitizer that they didn't even use that they had to just burn up. Millions of dollars and stuff like that. And that goes back to my original statement where I was saying there's money in chaos, right? So when you go and you get your vaccine or your COVID test and they say, oh, it's free, ain't nothing free. You know, that money is coming from somewhere because they'll ask you, oh, you got insurance? If you don't have insurance, we got to get your Social Security number or some shit like that. But as long as you're not pulling it out your pockets, you feel like it's free. Like right now, they got a whole lot of these different little stations set up where people got cell phones and iPads that they say they're giving it to you, but you got to be on public assistance. So it ain't free. So public assistance is paying for it. Who's paying for public assistance? It's the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the hustle going on right there. But yo, I'm gonna tell you something. Back to that whole statement about, you know, we got to start, you know, pooling our resources and stuff like that. I get my hair cut in a barbershop in the Bronx, African barbershop. And I used to go, and I started going there because number one, they can cut. And number two, I like to listen to the conversations about what they talk about. You know, what are they talking about as opposed to what we talking about as African Americans? So I got a lot of information, you know, as far as how they deal with their international trade, because as African Americans, we have our own culture and country right here because we're so disconnected through slavery. You know, we don't have that phone we can pick it up and call Uncle Mfume or whoever that lives in Kenya or wherever to do international trade with. But
well, listen, I'm gonna make a little joke. I'm just gonna intervene and make a little joke. I was on 116 yesterday getting some fish. If you want to find out what the Africans are talking about, just go on 116th Street and get you a little moped. They got 116th on Smash. Let me go there.
Hey, but yo, this is what because I'm listening to them talk, right, Bill? So I said, yo, man, let me ask y'all something. I always wanted to know this. Barbershop full of Africans. And they said, yeah, what you want to know? What you want to know? Because I always listen to y'all talk about how beautiful your country is. So if your country's so beautiful, why are you here? What you doing here? Oh, we got to make money. I said, but, you know, Africa was the richest fucking piece of property in the world at one point. You didn't need that. And today you see, you know, how the land has been raped and pillaged and, you know, the resources are all fucked up as far as the finances go. But what you did is you adopted the European lifestyle. You adopted your oppressor's lifestyle. So now you need what he needs. Because before, if you needed a hut, you built that motherfucker. If you needed food, you caught that shit and did whatever you need to do. The medicine that you developed today, back then is what they using today. And then putting a spin on it and selling it back to you. But what really bothers me more than anything about the Africans is that in this country, the military, if you capture a white man in one of these countries, they're going to send a whole motherfucking bunch of people to come get your ass.
Brittany Griner, we can't get her out of Russia.
And I said, you motherfuckers didn't throw a spear when they came and got us.
Hey, yo, Reggie, I know them Africans in that story be talking about, Richard, what are you talking about, you fool?
No, you know what they said? They was trying to justify it.
Y'all ain't right. Y'all ain't right.
We didn't have votes. We didn't have votes.
They're gonna cancel us. They're gonna cancel.
Yo, listen, I ain't Kanye. Shit.
They're gonna get us.
Yo, Facebook
Hey,
already
Bill,
gave me
think about that shit. Because I told him, I said, I know what we was thinking about on this side. We was thinking about trying to get back home.
Right.
So what was y'all thinking about as it pertained to coming getting us?
Let me tell you something. Shout out to our African people. But listen, they over here, they Americanized. They grabbing their crotch. They wearing their pants hanging off their butt. And they got on sandals too. They gangster with it. They real official. And they rode on mopeds. You go up 116th Street. They got them blocked off like they police detail.
Hey, yo, Bill, you play ball, right?
Absolutely.
Now, as a kid, do you ever remember going to the game with sandals on?
Hell no.
Them Africans started that shit here.
Oh, wow.
but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was really out of a Jamaican culture where you would wear the sandals with socks. Now that's a fad here. You got everybody walking down the street with sandals or with those little sandals and socks on.
If your feet look like theirs, you wear socks too.
Oh no.
Your cats is going in.
Oh no.
Yo,
no.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a story. I would love to bring and Reggie, you know this guy. You know him. It's a mutual friend of ours.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm a clown out on the last few minutes of our show. Playing basketball, we used to play basketball on Riverside Drive. So with that playing basketball, you should know who I'm talking about.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
We down on Riverside Drive. So the soccer ball comes on the court because they used to play soccer right next to the basketball court on 148th Street. So it comes on the court. Him with his personality, instead of him just kicking the ball back, he take it and fling the shit, right? Or whatever. Or kick it. So he's like, yo, don't let it come over here no more, whatever. You know how you get. So it comes over there again. He takes the ball and throw the shit over the fence or the thing. So the African brothers is like, yo, why you do that? Up. So he's like, yeah, whatever, right? So they get into it. So the African kid says something, whatever. He throw 2 joints at him. Pop. No, he throw a joint at him. Pop. African kid grabs him and headbutts him, right? So he's like, oh. Hey, yo, he regroups. He throws a combo. 1, 2, pop, pop. African kid said, oh, you think it's a game? Boom, boom, boom. Yo, they had to carry him up the steps.
See, you talking some Coming to America shit. This sounds like a scene from a casino that got cut from Coming to America.
Yo, Reggie, next time you speak to inbox and tell him to tell you the story.
I will.
This shit is hilarious. It's a real story, everybody. You only gonna get real shit on Real Talk Chronicles. My man got headbutted. He ain't never fucking touched another soccer ball since he fucking.
But Bill, let me share this with you before we leave. First of all, I got to give props to, I believe it's Stefania. She writes in all the time.
Yes, Stefania, absolutely.
Sister, I don't even know if I'm a hole in the wall, but she writes some deep stuff every time. And then big follow of yours. Second thing, everybody be on the lookout because I got Bill Foster's his actual docu-podcast. We're going, I mean, this brother's done everything in the world, so look out for that. And the last thing I want to say, I'm right in the middle of this thing right now, but to show you the mindset of who we are. A sister named Tamara Lanier. She's making big news. Ben Crump is following her. Ken Beecham, who's doing the movie Till that's coming out on Friday. He's in on her stuff. A lot of people are in on, and she graced me with the ability to do a docu-pod with her. And very quickly, she found out that her great-great-great-grandfather, 3 greats, Renty the slave, Harvard University, has been making money off of this slave picture of her great-great-grandfather.
Wow.
And great-great-grandfather. So in her mind, she's not even in it for money. She's retired, lovely sister. But she's like, wait a minute. How are y'all going to make money off of my great-great-grandfather? How do you have the right to have images? I think if I use the image for one film, it costs like $700. I got to pay Harvard. And like, he could have never given you the right to do that.
No.
Because he was a slave. He was enslaved.
Yeah.
So it's stories like this. And I'm not saying this because it's my story, because her thing is going big time. But I'm saying this is our mindset. We're not even paying attention to that because literally, if she wins this case, I don't know if she can, because you're talking long money, Harvard. But if she wins this case, that's the first real reparations case that will take place that the courts have to look at and say, wait a minute, he could never have given you his permission. But Harvard's saying, well, permission or not, we own these pictures. And by the way, these pictures were used. They stripped down slaves, took pictures of their genitals, all kind of stuff like that, just so they could show the rest of America, see, they're not like us. They're animals. They're donkeys. They're mules. And so this is a story that's out there, but it ain't going nowhere because we focus on Kanye.
Yeah,
We focus on his
absolutely.
billions.
Hey, yo, Reggie, what about the story of Henrietta Lacks? You know,
Yes.
and the money that they tried to sue for. You know, their lawyer said the amount of money that's owed the Lacks family is like the amount of money that's owed slavery times 100.
Yes.
That's the kind of money that the pharmaceutical companies made off of this woman's cells. There is not any medicine right now to this day that doesn't have her DNA stamp on it. So when you say that about them pictures, when you say there's nothing more than that, that one is way more than that, and there's no conversation about it, because I've been waiting to try to find out what was the settlement, because they were saying that the amount of money that's owed, they couldn't even put a number on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only reason that they even found out that shit happened is because these motherfuckers are so greedy. And for those that don't know, her cells were the only cells to this day that lived outside of the body long enough for them to do tests and develop medicine and cures. And they used her cells and brought her into a hospital, which was John Hopkins, which they didn't even let black people walk in the front door. And she was a patient there. But see, they brought her from another hospital after realizing she had the cells they needed, took her there, took her cells, and they were able to reproduce her cells without her. Sell the cells to other countries, and then took her body and disposed of it. And then they tried to say the cells belonged to a white woman. And they found out because they got greedy, and once they realized she had surviving children, they was like, damn, maybe they got the same cells.
Right.
So they went to check on them, and none of them had health insurance or nothing. And that's how the story got blown up. Some white woman, a reporter got wind of it, did the research, and found out that it was their mother. And it was crazy. That's why they call it the healer cell.
Wow.
And a lot of people didn't know nothing about that, including me. This shit ain't taught in college. I mean, in high school or college.
No.
You know? But the
So
kind of shit they've done to black folks, man, it's just despicable. And it's just so unbelievable that when you tell it, they say, nah, that shit can't be true.
It's true. That's why somebody say, yo, like you said, Rich, they said it ain't true. You be like, no, it's true. You just don't want to know the truth. You know what I'm trying to say? You don't want to know the truth.
But the crazy shit is, we start believing this shit about us.
Yes.
You know, when white people start saying what they saying and believing what they believe, I get that. But the crazy shit is, when you convince a person that he ain't shit, that's power.
Preach.
That's the power right there.
Preach.
When we killing each other, that's saying that we ain't shit.
Yeah.
My life ain't worth nothing, so neither is yours. I got a short life. I'm gonna get mine where I can get it. I want to be like these white folks. They take our shit and sell it back to us. Every fucking clothing design, art, sports, music. Look at all of the shit that they took from the music industry. I'm talking about all of the different artists that came up. Sam Cooke, he was trying to do something different. They killed his ass. Sammy Davis Jr. was on a whole nother level. He was like, That nigga was like Michael Jackson and Prince and all in one back in that era.
Yeah.
And they wanted him to do some shit, and that he started fucking with that white chick. They took his eye. They tried to kill his ass.
That was it right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But Herschel putting guns to people's heads and getting it's bizarre. It's like the world is flipped upside down for power.
Yeah. But these is motherfuckers that didn't have to go through what those pioneers went through.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Look at not Carl Lewis. Oh man, what's the brother that won the Olympics during the Munich in Russia with Hitler? Jesse Owens.
Yeah, Jesse.
Jesse Owens was being honored in the United States at a hotel for winning that Olympic medal. He goes to the event, and they won't let him walk in the front door.
I know.
He had to go in the back fucking door to his own celebration.
But you know what, Rich? Let me say this real quick because I know your time is probably limited. Let me
it's good.
Let me throw this in the back of what you were saying, Rich. The frustration and the difficulties I have is that people say, why do you talk about these things, Jesse Owens? Why do you talk about this stuff? Why do you? And I'm like, do you realize that just happened? We're not talking about thousands of years ago. We're talking about, you're looking
30,
at me.
40 years.
I think exactly. I think I'm young. I'm old to my kids. But the reality is when I was 7 years old, there's places I could not go in this country based on color.
Absolutely.
My mother and father are still alive. I asked them questions and they accepted because it was normal back then. But to hear the stories of, my father being a military vet and literally couldn't go in, prisoners could go in places he couldn't go in. So, when you think about these things, I hate to bring this up, you think about Abner Louima, that was only a couple of years ago. Bill, you remember that?
I was there.
It was only a couple of years ago, right? And so when you think about redlining still goes on. You can't come in my community because it's set up that way. And then the sad thing is, our white brothers and sisters, and there are some of them that really care about us, they will watch this show and say, look, he's sitting up there with the glasses, look like DJ Red Alert. He complaining. Bill, you got a good life. You complaining. Rich, you complaining. We're not complaining. We're just telling the facts.
We're educating.
We're
educating.
Yeah, you don't say Jews don't say that when they talk about the Holocaust over and over.
You're right.
But you know what they don't mention? They don't mention the fact that it was black folks that freed their ass from the Holocaust, because it was the black soldiers that were the first ones there that chased them motherfucking Germans out of there.
Yeah.
My grandfather fought in World War II, and he told me this. He said they were on a train traveling through Europe, sitting down. They brought in some captured motherfucking Germans and made them get up so them Germans could sit down.
Yeah.
Yo, like my man Mark said, he said Muhammad Ali couldn't get a hamburger after he won the gold medals. You know what I'm saying? Over there. Exactly. I'm going to tell y'all two stories too. Listen, my uncle, he was one of the first African Marines. I forgot, I think it's Milford or wherever it is. Over here, he was a champion in boxing over there, when he was in the Marines. Come here, still can't go places. He got a Congressional Medal of Honor before he died from Barack. It hopefully comes up in the memories of my Facebook. I got to find it, or I would have to go through my phone. So it was like, he was not like 90. You remember, Bleeker, he was like 92, something like that, before he passed away. My uncle, for all those of Willie Walker, we had a conversation one time, and he had got an invitation to go to Barack's inauguration. And he said he wasn't going to go. So I said, why? He said, I had to sit in solace. And I said, why? What do you mean? He said, to see a first black president was overwhelming to him. And I'm using that word. And I said, well, but you're invited. He said, but no, I had to come from a place. He says, you realize I'm from like Alabama. He says, I remember drinking water from a spigot going downward. And now to see where it's evolved where I can drink water shooting upward. You know what I'm saying? So when you start looking at the things,
that's deep.
When he hit me with that, I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Because what we've always been able to drink water shooting upward, but we understood what racism was. I mean, comedians have made jokes about, yeah, or you know how black people be like, yo, if I was in the South or I was a slave, I'd be like this, I'd be like that. What?
No, you wouldn't.
Well, none of us want to go down in Mississippi.
No.
Listen,
Hey,
I
Bill,
don't.
you ever seen Ku Klux Klan?
Absolutely.
No. I mean, seen them when you was in a situation where you was in the South
Oh
and
no,
them
no.
motherfuckers was out. I don't mean parading down, the street.
No.
I'm talking about in
I've never
full
seen it.
garb,
Yeah.
getting ready to get with your ass.
No, because see, bottom line is, see, a lot of us get into that black exploitation movie. Yeah, I'm the man. I got the white woman on my arm, but I'm gonna kill the white man. Yo, listen, it ain't happening like that. Yo,
Well,
listen,
when I
they
went to
shoot
college,
back.
I went to college in Texas, Waco, Texas, right?
Uh-huh.
And we played against this college called Hillsboro Running Rebels. Their mascot was a Confederate soldier with a bayonet with the Confederate flag at the end of it. And their court was built inside of a barn next to a graveyard. The whole team was white, whole town was white, and our whole team was black and one Mexican, maybe 3 white boys. And we was busting their ass, and they was calling us all kind of niggas, and we was trying to react to that shit. The coach said, don't say nothing to them, just take it out on the court.
Wow.
We bust their ass. After the motherfucking game, we usually take a shower and then jump in the van. Coach comes in, he said, yo, don't take a shower. Just grab your shit. He said, get in the van. And we had 2 vans. The trainer was driving the other one. He said, whatever you do, don't stop. He said, even if the cops come, if you see a cop, don't stop till we get to the next town. And we laughing because we think it's a joke. We like, yo, coach, fuck is wrong with you, man? Fuck them white boys. He said, man, yo, it's crazy out there, man. They out there. I said, fuck you mean they out there? He said, the Klan out there. I said, man, fuck them niggas. I'm talking that New York bullshit, right?
Yeah.
He said, listen, just get in the van, keep your head down. I come out like I'm coming out like I'm that nigga. I seen that motherfucking line of white sheets, and the motherfuckers hit that cross, and that shit said, whoop. I said, I jumped in that. Hey, Phil, I jumped in that motherfucking van, dove in that motherfucker. I said, yo, drive this motherfucker.
Yeah. Your skirt,
the
your
reality
skirt is real different than, yo, listen.
Southern towns,
People talk all that
especially
shit.
Texas, is so big, they can kill your ass, drop your body somewhere, and nobody would find you. The only way they know you was there is they have to look up in the sky and see the vultures.
Wow.
And my coach said, I said, yo, coach, why was you scared? You white. He said, I'm going to tell you something. It's one thing they hate worse than a nigga. That's a nigga lover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's real
crazy.
talk. Yeah.
That's
like
crazy.
Mark said out here, he said, yo, this is a CRT segment. Absolutely. Vera said they had them up north in Binghamton, New York. Wow. So I mean, listen, they still prevalent.
Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, I know that exactly.
Yeah.
Man. Don't make no mistake about it, boy.
Listen, that's why I tell you, keep your hand on the trigger, because if you come and get it, I'm gonna give you something to get. Listen, I ain't gonna say it.
Like my man said, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes you wonder how you keep from going under.
Yeah.
I got my hand on my gun because they got me on the run.
Yes.
Yeah. Yo, Reggie, my man Eddie wants to know, where can he find some of your work? First and foremost, everybody, I'm going to repost, because Reggie knows and Rich knows I'm no hater, and I want to promote my man Reggie. He got some stuff coming out, from phenomenal work. But one of the best segments, and you'll see what I'm saying, one of the best segments I had from the Real Talk Chronicles, and like I said, I'm going to spew it out. You got to bring all that love over to YouTube right now. I got to build more content over here. What I had on Facebook, 200 views and stuff like that, it's different now. So just tell people to come over here and holler at your boy. I'll still try to give you some good love and segments over here. I might scale down a little more, maybe with the Wednesdays, but I'm still doing the one Monday a month. But the Wednesdays, I don't know. I might try to do it 2 times a month, or it depends on what the conversations are or the topics are. Because Real Talk is current events. It's not so much in the past. It's current events, what was prevalent to us today. But one of the best segments I've had in the Real Talk world was when I interviewed Mike Michael Sledge and Reggie Bullock, and it just popped up on my thing in a Real Talk when I typed in Real Talk, and it was just showing how phenomenal the viewership was for that. So I will repost that. But Reggie, just tell people where they can find you at. My man Eddie, that's my brother from another mother. He's all about the good content and work. So please put in what you got coming up. What have you done? And what are you doing right now? And some positive affirmation. And then we're gonna let Rich give us some positive affirmation, and we're gonna get out of here. But Reg, you got some minutes. Go ahead, brother. It's on you.
Okay, thank you, bro. I have I've got a channel called Greatness 5 where we cover a different side of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. And the reason why I say please check out the Martin Luther King one is because, we've been fed this stuff. I mean, that's all we've been fed. We did not hear him really talk. He never used the word reparations, but King was talking about it. You see King from a different light. You see all the suffering and all the stuff that he went through. So we don't look at him where we're pitting him against Malcolm. But I got a film about Malcolm, short films about Malcolm, Martin, the Panthers, as young as they were to do what they did. Them brothers were 23, 24 years old, changing the world, scaring the world, and the government had to basically kill them all off. Fred Hampton, the whole works. Got a film on that. Got another film, one of my most enjoyable films. I was working on that one for like 20 years. It's called It's a Time to Dance, which goes through the history of Black dance in this country all the way up until today. So everybody, who's the greatest? Michael versus James Brown, Prince, everybody in there. We got Barack Obama dancing on there. So check that out if you can. All these films. And I've got one of my favorite ones was I did a different perspective on Muhammad Ali called When Cassius Became Muhammad. So we ain't going over, I'm the great, I'm the pretty. No. We're going to show you what the world was looking at when he said, no, my name is now Muhammad Ali. When he got kicked out. So we go through that. And now what I'm launching is Greatness 5, the Legacy series, because I had this one sister, she said to me, Reg, I know about King. I know about X. I know about the Panthers. Why don't you talk about the living icons today? And I said, ain't nobody want to hear. But then I thought about it, said she's right. So that's where I got brother Bill Foster, who is like the Renaissance man. This brother got his hands in everything on a positive perspective. So we're going to go over him. We got Tamara Lanier. Rich, I'm going to try to get you on for us, whatever. I'm going to find you. I'm going to get you on. But that's the series that's coming out. I've interviewed over 100 people. It's launching November 11th. And some of the 100 people are Allison Williams, your friend.
Oh, you got it? You got it?
Good. We got her on there. We've got Kiki Shepard from the Apollo. We've got the brother that won America's Greatest Talent with Simon Cowell. He won it. Y'all need to check that brother out. Brandon Leaks. Oh, my goodness. He have a poem on there that had everybody crying about Black Lives Matter. This brother, I mean, he's spoken word artist. He grabbed his throat and said, I can't breathe. You will cry. We got all these people on, over 100 people, and we're going to start November 11th. But you can go to the Greatness 5 channel on YouTube right now and check out all my old works. But the new thing, and if you really want to get deep, go to War for Your Soul. That one did about 20 million people because the Nigerians picked it up. That's where I documented our history from 1619 all the way up to Barack Obama, just basically showing where we came and what are the obstacles we're facing. That one did about 20 million because the Nigerians picked up.
Say that again. Say it again and spell it for them so that people can catch it and write it down.
That's called A War. This might be kind of tough because I was struggling to find it last night. It's called A War for Your Soul. And that's the one that kind of put me on the map. They had me on CNN. What else? Michael Baisden's show. They were flying me all over the country. And to be honest, I was new to the whole thing. So they were saying to me, you're a great filmmaker. I'm like, I am. I didn't even think back. I didn't know what I was doing back then, but it just, for whatever reason, they felt the vibe and it took off. They had me in all these churches and all this other stuff. But
sometimes people are before their times, like PE, Spike Lee. A lot of times, a lot of people before them times. The Panthers were before their time. They were at the right time, but they were still before their time. And maybe we're before our time, but we're right on time. You know what I'm saying? Because the bottom line is, I could tell people in a minute, positivity is the hardest thing I've ever had to sell, but I will continue to sell it, and I will make sure I sell it. So I tell everybody, please share it, share this YouTube channel, and tell people to subscribe to it, because I got people out here talking all kind of other stuff, and people are watching, but they're not talking this. You can't find anybody out here right now, and that's no disrespect to anything, that's kind of give you the content of politics, race, religion, law enforcement, trying to cover the whole gamut of things that's going to just make your world safer and better.
Yeah.
I'm not listen, it is what it is. I will stay. I always say I will stay with you to the last person. So I appreciate you. Rich, give us some love before we get out of here. Reggie, I appreciate you so much. Rich, give us some love before we get out of here, brother.
Hey, man, you know my motto, man. We all wake up every day, God willing, with the 2 C's. A chance when he taps you on the shoulder, and a choice to do it his way or your way.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, Mark said, I absolutely appreciate you and your guests. They were on point. Y'all went deep and had some laughs along the way. Absolutely. My lovely wife, would you like to say anything before we get out of here?
Happy birthday.
Everybody,
happy birthday.
Give Malika some, yeah, happy birthday.
Yes.
Listen, she just had a little, I'm not going to say 21st birthday because she's
I'm proud of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, tell Tony to sing us out of this.
Yo, let me tell you something. It's so
hit me with
funny.
some 7 whole days.
Let me tell you something.
For you, Rich. That's about it.
Yo, we have another friend of ours that calls her Tony Braxton too, and he calls me LL Cool J because I had her on the little joint. You call her Tony, and you call me Babyface. So yeah, we getting out of here. Do you understand what happened? You had a good birthday for the most part? Yeah.
For the whole part.
That's what I'm saying. Don't fight me.
Can I get 30 seconds up in there?
Don't fight me.
I just want to say thank you.
And my mother-in-law, my Mill, had her birthday too.
Mill, yeah. No, I'm putting the post up tomorrow morning, but thank you for every bit of love that was sent my way yesterday. I felt it all. I tried to stay off Facebook a little. Sorry. You know what? You're so dramatic tonight. You need some loving. Excuse me for a second, y'all.
Uh-oh.
7 whole days, like you said, Rich.
No, in the middle of
Rick
the day,
James, give it to me, baby.
one of my brothers called me. He's like, "Go on Facebook. I put a special thing up for you." You know, I was just savoring the moment, and since it was such a blessing to be born on my mom's birthday, you know, we always cherish it. You know, we spend a lot of time talking together all the time, but it's just something about that day where we just take a moment to reflect. So yeah, I thank God every day, but also for this year.
Let me tell you something. I know the beautiful thing about it is, and she can always tell you this, I know how close she is to her mother, and for me to not have my parents anymore. And Rich, I know you probably can contest to this right now, understand this. When you find people that have family and they appreciate them, you understand, like you want them to cherish that moment and appreciate it, because the bottom line is what you have is memories. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I think Malika's known since we've been together for 7 years now, right? That I know her mother has the first part of the day. They always since I've been with Malika for 7 years, they celebrate their birthday during the day, or I see her at night, or I'll see her the next day, and I'm good with it, because the bottom line is I know the bond that those two have.
You see me at night. What you talking about?
No, but I'm just saying. I know a lot of times you have driven down.
Yes, my love.
Yeah, no, I know. Yes. Yeah, she's driven down, and the PA.
Shut up, Bill.
You can't win for losing, doggy. No, let's not.
The only other thing I want to say is please subscribe to YouTube. I'm just going to keep repeating that until you have like 1,000 or more subscribers. It's extremely important. We've been saying it before on the love, but it's very important now, because you're delivering a powerful message every single week, and you're going to continue to do so with wonderful guests like this. Yeah. And it needs to be heard. So please subscribe.
And growing pains, we got comfortable with Facebook, but right now Facebook is making it hard for viewership. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to tell everybody, listen, if it was something on YouTube you wanted to see about some BS, you go to YouTube. Exactly. So let's come over to YouTube and see some real shit. You know what I'm saying? That's real talk,
Yep. Great show, guys.
Everybody, it's Real Talk. That's Reggie That's Reggie Bullock. That's Richard Williams. That's Malika Forster. I'm your Bill Forster, baby. Real Talk. We'll see you soon, man. Everybody be safe. Watch your back. Do what you got to do. Get prepared. Do your homework on your people that you're thinking about voting for. Please, just try to make the right decision as we all are, and just be safe. I'll talk to y'all later. Real talk.
Peace. Love y'all. Peace.
Love you.
Peace.
All right.
Love you guys.